Well, hello again. We're going to be critiquing the process speeches. We've got one for a student in 84N and the rest are for 80N. Before I start, in class 80N, Kirsten Lang. Kirsten, if you're watching this, please call me in my office on Monday. I have a class from 9:30 until 10:45. And I'll be in and out, but please call me. It's important that we talk as soon as possible. All right, let's talk about, excuse me, the process speech. First of all, it's 100 points. Secondly, it needed to be done within 4 to 6 minutes, and many of you did not observe that. You needed a speaking outline, and you needed a preparation outline. A couple of things. Let's go over it. Tell me if you've heard any of this before. This shot, the one you're seeing right now, is the only shot I want to see in any of your videos. All right? Don't zoom, don't pan, don't give me the full body, any of that stuff. If you have a visual, refer to the visual in your speech and send me a copy of it. All right, that's number one. Number two, make sure you have the right number of people in your audience. That's not a problem. Introducing your audiences is not a problem. The delivery method of this one should be extemporaneously. You needed to talk with us, not at us. Don't speechify us, and all of that stuff. Sources, in some cases, some of your speeches were so technical and so much from someplace else, and you didn't source it, and that's just not very good. Make sure that you source any information you give. Other thing, outlines. Any class papers must be sent to me at my Ivy Tech email address from your Ivy Tech email address. Do not post them in Blackboard. Do not put them in Connect. Don't put them anywhere. Email them to me along with any visuals or PowerPoints or anything like that that you want me to see. It is absolutely essential that you follow those instructions. If you don't, it will only come back to haunt you greatly. All right. Let's get on with the speeches. We're going to start with, this is Sherlock, and Sherlock is in 84N. Your speech and your outline has to be about, has too much about what you're doing. The outline, your outline was more of a text than it was an outline. That's what it is. So make sure that you follow. That's good advice for everybody. Look at the examples of the outlines in your textbook. Some of you are giving me way too much stuff. Other cases, you're giving me too little. Label them. I need to know whether it's preparation outline, speaking outline, etc., etc. Okay. Ease back a little bit on your intensity. You are straining your voice, and in a sense, you're shouting at us. Calm down. Talk to us. Be reasonable. Be conversational. All right? You do not explain why people use this. You were talking about aseptic gowning. What jobs use it? How do they use it? Why do they use it? You are not being conversational. You are way too intense. Talk to me, not at me. You waited until the very end to explain one reason for the gowning, and you failed to cite a single source for your information. That was crucial because you don't come up with these rules. Somebody else came up with these rules, and you didn't cite any of that information. Also, you had a very light tisk in what you were doing, so you want to be careful about that. Now we're on the 80N class speeches, and first up is Root Weevil. You spoke about installing tile. The part about toothpaste consistency was very good imagery. I congratulate you on that because that's giving us a comparison to something we all understand. All right, your speech was too short. You are reading your opening, and then you keep on reading. You talk about hardy backboard. I don't have a clue what that is. When you use terms, you've got to explain the terms. Remember, not everyone in your audience knows what you know about your topic. You are using a lot of terms that you understand, but the audience does not. You need more energy. You don't need to get quieter as you get to the last few words. Okay? Strong all the way through. And also, you are talking to a beginner, and you need to tell me what you tell me that do it like the seams in drywall. I don't know what that means. You got to be careful. You're reading far too much. What is your credibility on this topic? You need to tell us. I've done this dozens of times. I do this for a living. Tell us. Get some credibility in there. Or I just did this in my house, and I want to tell you how easy it is. Check the textbook on the outline requirements. All right, next up is Star. Star, you talked about homemade cookies. It was too long. You had the wrong shot. You didn't establish your credibility at the top. You started your speech reading with no eye contact, not enough light on your face, hard to see your eyes, too many interruptions in the flow. You need more energy, too many problems getting to the next page of your script. This is a process speech. It requires visuals. This was more of an informational speech than it was a process speech. You act as though your audience would be too dumb to understand the concept of hot and burns. Be careful you don't insult the audience when you say, be sure to use a hot pad to pick up a hot something, whatever you're talking about. Watch the ums and uhs. You talked about wet ingredients, which is. Watch your grammar. Soft focus on the camera, and it's hard to see your video clearly. You read too much, and your speech was too long. Next up is Jamichaels. And Jamichaels, you have a nice appearance. You have the wrong camera shot. Camera is bouncing all around while you're talking. You're reading. Slow down. Talk to me conversationally. A lot of baby-related noises. And kind of good for this speech and this topic because you were talking about making baby food. But at times, it was hard to hear you and concentrate on what you were saying. Your camera shot is soft focused. I need outlines, and you are sending me those outlines. Something happened that I didn't get them in the email. Next up is golf. You talked about tornadoes, and you have good appearance, good camera shot. What's your credibility on this speech? Why are you giving this speech? And credibility for a speech on something you're not a meteorologist can be, living in Indiana, you kind of have to be an expert on this, so I've studied up on it. I pay a lot of attention to it. That gives you credibility. Make sure you establish credibility in every speech you give. We need a little bit more energy, a little more enthusiasm, but it wasn't a bad speech. Kind of solid all the way along. Watch your ahs and your ums, and you have a slight tisk. I would say to you that you're on your way to doing quite well. Next up is Buddy. Buddy, you talked about birthday cake. You laughed for over a minute of your opening. Just laughed. You never want to do that. Either turn off the camera and start over again, but don't insult us by having some kind of an inside joke that the audience doesn't understand. Stand still. Don't stand with your hands behind your back while you're talking. Watch the annoying hair flip. You were constantly doing that. Pin your hair back. Put on a hairnet if you have to, but do something so you're not doing this spastic move of constantly flipping your hair back. You need to demonstrate in a process speech. There is no flow to this speech. You look and sound detached, even bored by your own words. There are no visuals, and there was no finished product. You were talking about a birthday cake, and watch the tisk. Next up is Birdie. And Birdie, you talked about best price when car shopping. Outstanding speech. Really, really well done. When you come up with a topic that all of us have kind of experienced but didn't know how to do it, and you have all of the tips that you had in your speech, way to go. Just many, many ways, this was very, very good. So, watch on your outline that it doesn't become a text instead of an outline. Read up on the textbook on how to do the outlines. This is a great topic, very well presented. Work to be just a little bit more conversational. You're giving a lot of inside tips on how to do this. Play it up. Talk to your audience and say, been there, done. You establish your credibility very well, but talk about, the fact that, and especially I'm guessing that sometimes car salesmen play on women a little bit that, well, you're a woman, you don't know anything about cars. You're a woman giving advice, not only women. I was fascinated by it because I've been in the situations you're talking about. And so very, very well done. A little more explanation of gap insurance. I wasn't quite sure I understood that. Very well done. And this may have been a little bit more informational in process. I'm going to kind of overlook that, but well done. Watch your TISC. You got a little bit of a TISC there. Next up is Hunter. You talked about how to hook up a trailer. Nice appearance. You have a little bit too much headroom in your shot composition. I didn't have a copy of the diagram you referenced, so I went to kind of look. And guess what you did? You filed some stuff in Connect. Don't do that. I don't know how many times I have to say that. Send everything to me as an email. All right, decent conversational approach. That's a plus. Your outlines were in two places. I already talked about that. With one of them emailed to me and the other one was in Connect. You have been told to email all course materials to me. You have a natural skill and ability. Polish that a little bit more. You're going to get better each time. Establish your credibility. Who are you to be telling me this? How do you know all of this? And establish that. It's very, very important that you do so. And watch the vocalized pause. Next up is Beecher. And Beecher, you talked about candle making. Very good. Nice appearance. You have a very nice smile. The camera needs on a tripod. It was bouncing a little bit too much. Kind of cut off the top of your head. You need to be showing us what you're talking about. Needed to see that. Vitally needed to see that. Where are your outlines? Good topic. Nice conversational style. No visuals, and you didn't show us a finished product. Watch your sniffles. When you're doing that this time of year, you want to be careful of that, and watch the TISC. All right, that looks like, oh, got another one here. This is Hoosier, and Hoosier talked about hot cocoa and good appearance. Get a little bit more energy in your voice. Your speech ran very short. And you started by reading, no eye contact when you were reading. See how distracting it is when I'm looking down here and not looking at you when I'm talking to you? Watch the sniffles. You're reading too much of your speech. You slur your words. It's too hard to understand you because you just got to understand what the words were. Don't do that. I've got to be able to hear and understand distinctly each word you use. And it was hard to understand all of what you were saying. I picked up some of it. You ignored what you need to do with pre-measured ingredients, and that means that you were kind of talking about stuff and you didn't have it pre-outlined, etc. There is no student outline, no speech outline required. Please label your outlines as required. You called one a student outline. And you have the wrong camera shot, and that, I believe, is it. All right. There's improvement each time. No one is failing the class if you're turning in the speeches. If you don't turn in the speeches, you will fail the class. That's why it's crucial you turn in each speech. As I said at the very beginning of all this, if you complete the work and do an honest effort on everything, then you should get at least a C in this course, and B's and A's are real easy to come by. Make sure you follow all of the directions on the discussion boards. Make sure you take all of the exams. Those are points you don't want to leave on the table. 160 points in discussion boards, 100 points on exams, and each time you do a speech, you want to get better. All right, on the persuasive speeches and the informational speeches, if you have already done it, we'll kind of let it go. Do not do capital punishment or abortion. And make sure you pick a topic that people are interested in, that they can identify with, and not some of those obscure philosophical topics. Pick something that interests you. I think I mentioned to you, when I was in college, I did one on deceptive packaging and labeling, which all of us have to deal with on a daily basis. Okay, have a good weekend. Spring is around the corner. For you 8-week students, it's almost over. For your 16-week students, it's almost the halfway point. See you next time. Have a good one.